I got upset because when I flew home at the airport, my favorite slot machine, Jurassic Park, was outside of my gate, and I lost $20, and I'm like, oh my god, I just like really it was $20, like calm down, but I'm like,
well, that's how it was at first back in 2008. The first time I ever bought into a poker game and lost $60, and then I cashed out. I was like, well, what am I doing? How did I just gave away $60? So it's just a gradual process, and that's how cash game poker is, winning a little bit of money a lot of the time. And this is the way I've actually described it to other people. A lot of people love playing the lottery with the idea of risking a little bit of money to win a lot of money. Well, the real way to win money is to do the opposite. It's not sexy to say, I bought in for $1,000 into a poker game and cashed out for $1,130.
True.
That's not sexy. Like, I just booked a $130 win over 8 hours of play. But that is the reality. That is what the majority of your days are.
That was audio from a podcast I did called Women of No Certain Age, hosted by my friend Shannon Moore, also her co-hosts Tracy and Hannah. That's down here in Reno. I had a chance to go on there and talk some poker, really enjoyed that. And that was video from the International Car Forest of the Last Church, the other stop I made on that Vegas trip that you saw in the last couple of vlogs. And definitely one of the most bizarre, out-of-the-way places. I'm going to try and turn it into a Silver State Sites because I like featuring places that people don't necessarily know much about and don't necessarily get a lot of attention on that segment. So, as you can see here, it's January. Well, I guess now it's February, isn't it? And it's Reno, which means we're going to have snow a lot of the time. And I think when a lot of people think of news reporters, which I am, they think of this: being live in the cold, in the snow, in the wind, and telling people about it. And that's what I'm doing today. It's not glamorous, but in terms of actual news assignment, it's actually one of the ones I like best because you really feel like you're out in it, and it's live. You do it live on the show. To quote Bill O'Reilly, we'll do it live! So that's going to be the case for me today. Anyway, after a couple of vlogs in Vegas, and I apologize for the ranting at the end of the last vlog, but a lot of people say one of the things they like about this vlog is that I keep it real. I don't try to glamorize anything, and you get a real look at how things go playing poker, and in my case, working full-time as well, which you don't get on a lot of the other poker vlogs. So I do appreciate those of you that said that after that last vlog from Las Vegas. By the way, you know what makes me feel better when I'm feeling down? Rolled up aces over kings. Yeah, I had a chance to play live 7-card stud for the first time. Take a look at some video. I can't really report any of the hands. I realize just how complex it is to relay a stud hand, and it's not going to make for good vlogging, but I booked, wait for it, an $82 win at stud. So I may retire undefeated at 7-card stud if I never play in a live game again. Nothing but blue chips, by the way, in that game. $1 chips. Big money, with an average age of probably 80 years old while I was waiting for a 3-5 game when I played in that. So cool to play something else other than No Limit Hold'em, but that's normally what we play on this vlog. And we're going to get back to that now. Where is my freedom?
Two of the best local pros here in Reno were so disgusted by the fact they were holding these games that they left and went to Los Angeles. It's absolutely ridiculous that they invite pros from out of town to play. They give them free rooms, and they're buying in for a minimum of $2,500 a piece in a 10-25 game. The funny part is I'm convinced that none of them would come if they didn't get the free room. Weird phenomenon, but that was happening here. Anyway, I'm here at the Pepper Mill.
And the game is so bad, the 3-5 game I'm talking about, that honestly, I wish I was back out in the snow reporting like I was yesterday. That's how bad it is. Did have one interesting hand though. When an unknown sits down and he limps under the gun. And I'm in the low jack with king queen offsuit, and I make it 20. The flop, after everyone else folds, comes queen jack 3 with 2 spades. I have the queen of spades. He checks. I bet 30, and he thinks for longer than you would expect, and finally makes the call. The turn is a really interesting card. It comes the king of spades. He checks again, and I'm definitely not going to play scared here. I'm going to be betting for value for sure. I bet 45. He calls. River comes a 3, pairing the board, and now he leads out for 50. Again, I don't know this guy, but he only has about 150 left, so not playing very deep. I still think this is a good enough spot for a thin value raise. I min raise it to 100, thinking that he might call me with a king, might call me with a queen if he thinks I'm bluffing. He'd actually just bluffed me recently, and I called him with ace high, and I was good. So that kind of factored into my thinking here. So I min raise to 100, and he thinks for 4 minutes and says, I'm folding a flush.
Folding the flush.
And I think that's 100% BS that he folded the flush there, but won the hand, and still in a bad game. Probably going to cash out and go home and watch some Golden Knights hockey. All right, coming to you upstairs here at the Pepper Mill, coming your way 2 days after the last segment of this vlog I recorded, and yesterday was a disaster for me, unfortunately. And it's kind of started off that way when a player, definitely the guy you want in the game, the guy who's the game is based around, is under the gun +2, and he opens to 20. Cutoff calls, and I'm on the button with pocket aces. I make it 65, hoping to keep both these guys in and build the pot up as much as possible. And that's not quite what happens, as +2 calls, but the cutoff folds. So we're heads up to a flop of Jack 8-5 with a couple of diamonds. He checks, and I actually didn't see just how short stacked he was at the time. He only had, I'm going to say, about 90 left, but I bet 75, thinking he had a little more than that left. He puts it all in, and obviously I call. He shows pocket 10s, which was great for me until the turn came a 10. Didn't hit an ace on the river, and he doubles up. So right out of the gate, I ended up losing that pot, and the whole day just kind of got out of hand for me. I ended up taking a $1,600 loss that day. The good news was, made back $1,500 of it the next day. So, one bad day, one good day, and now kind of back to square one. So I'm waiting in the 3-5 list right now here at Peppermill, hoping to jump in and finish this week off nicely before heading back to work tomorrow. So I think every one of you will have someone that you'll see in a poker game that you just cannot stand. And that guy jumped into the game for me today. This guy is an open racist. All right, anyone who's not white, this man hates. But he's good for the game because he's a calling station. And as a result of his calling station ways, I will occasionally play some mediocre hands against him, because I know that if I can make something big, he's never going to fold. He's going to pay me off for sure. So that's what happened here. When he opens 15 under the gun, and I'm under the gun +2 with the premium holding of 3-5 of hearts, I make the call. And oddly enough, everyone else goes out. So it's heads up to the flop.
and it comes ace, queen, 5 with 1 heart. He bets 15 again. So, I think I could definitely improve on the turn in a lot of ways. I could pick up a flush draw, I could hit a 3 or a 5. Not a great chance of him just giving up and me bluffing him, but let's go ahead and see what happens. So I make the call, and the turn is a 5. So now I'm in business because he bets out for 75. Now it's just a question of how much do I raise, and I decide on a sizing of 200. So I put out the 2 stacks of red, and he instantly re-raises me to 400. That's part of his thing. He hates minorities, and he doesn't like to take a lot of time. So this guy makes it 400, and I went back and forth with it here. I thought about just re-raising immediately, but you know, there's some point where he is going to get away from ace-king. And obviously if he has aces or queens, then I'm drawing dead. So I decided just to call, and planning on calling the river bet to see if he's spazzing out with ace-king or ace-queen or with whatever other hand he could have. So I just call, and now the river comes a jack. And he checks. So definitely a spot where I think a lot of people are just going to check it back because they faced a re-raise on the turn, and they don't want to risk being up against aces or queens here, so they're just going to be conservative and check it back. But I am not going to be one of those people. I'm always going to look for that value bet on the end when I can find it. So I bet 200, and he beats me into the pot, but I'm good. So he doesn't show what he had. I think ace-queen's the most likely hand, obviously, but I think it could have even been weaker than that, given the fact that he hates me personally, and he hates losing to me, and in general he hates to fold. So you factor all those 3 things in, and definitely a chance for me to make some money, and just winning it from him feels so much better than winning it from anybody else. Holy crap. Just before midnight, cashing out after a day that I will probably remember for a long time. Started off backdooring a flush, a 9-high flush in a spot where I'd called the pre-flop raiser down for 2 streets. And he ended up, of course, having the nut flush, so I was stuck just about 1,000 right out of the gate. Shortly after that, I ended up opening 4-5 of diamonds early position, flopping a flush draw. Board paired on the river, but the flush came in as a result of that card as well. And when the pre-flop raiser checked, I went ahead and value bet the flush, and he just check called with the nut flush. Hour or so later, I ended up picking up pocket aces. Guy flopped a set of 7s on me. 30 minutes after that, aces again. Guy flopped a set of 3s on me. Then the worst hand of the night came when I actually raised it pre-flop myself with pocket 5s. Flopped a set on a queen, jack, 5, all club board, and ended up being up against the second nut flush. So I don't know if it's fair to say that it's the worst I've ever run in the day before, but I think it's the most coolers I've ever been on the wrong side of. Booking a $1,666 loss exactly. So, rough way to end the week, and I'm gonna head to work tomorrow and make back a tiny fraction of that.